Okay, so we have two students in different states. We have Fernando. This is, espérame un poquito, ahorita vamos a hacer algo divertido. Okay? Because the thing is, a lot of people think that, oh, yeah, you do that, but that's California, and I'm in a different state.
Yeah,
So, but in reality, the information is the same.
it's the same. Yeah.
The same. Mhm. So, I'm gonna just do this for a little bit. So, I have Fernando. Fernando, where are you at right now?
I'm right now in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Fernando is in Vegas, Las Vegas, Nevada. He's in a different state. And where is Ed? And Ed is in California, and we have other students in California too. Okay, so this is one of the information that I want to share, and I want you guys to see that after section number 2, it don't really matter which state you're in, the information will be the same. Because sometimes I get people that say, yeah, that's your sessions, but you're in California, and I am in Texas, I'm in Nebraska, I'm in Minnesota, I'm in different states. So yesterday we had one student from Nebraska saying that he passed his permit, he got his permit because he was watching our videos. We had another one in New Mexico. We had another one in Long Beach, California. All 3 different states, and they all pass the permit test with this information. So right now, I have Fernando uh, joining the online class, and he is in Vegas. So we are barely starting section number 2. So the book you see on the screen is the California Handbook. Okay, we already reviewed section number 1. If you want to find out about any regulations about your state, look at the section number 1. Saludos para Stephanie, está Minnesota. Okay. Okay, now, if after section number 2, it's going to be pretty much the same. So I just did a test right now. Fernando, obviously, he can see the screen on the computer because he's connected to the class, but he also has the Nevada Handbook. Is that right, Fernando?
Yes, I'm right. You're right.
Okay, so I told them the best way to study is looking at the handbook. I asked Ed to go to page 29, which is the California handbook, to the page 29, and then let me see if I can. I don't want to move too much. I have, this is the California handbook. You will see these questions right here. Saludos desde Texas para, oh, pues muchas gracias. Aquí andamos compartiendo para Armani, no sé cómo se pronuncia, disculpen el nombre, ok. Okay, anyway, this is California Handbook, page 29. And this is the Nevada Handbook, page 27. Okay, I have my Nevada Handbook also. So Fernando, I'm going to ask you to read what is the question number 1 on your Nevada Handbook.
The question is going to be, what is the most important reason for doing a vehicle inspection?
Okay, and Ed, what's the question number question number one on your handbook? It's the same question, right? It's the same question. This is the California handbook, and this is the Nevada handbook, and it is the same question. So any state you're in, you should have the same questions because after section number 2, the information is the same. Okay? So the best way to study is if you don't have access to these sessions or after we finish the live or whatever we're doing over here, go to your state, get a handbook. You can download it online. I'm pretty sure they have it online, or go and get a physical handbook and find the questions first. It might be in a different page, like this California 2.9, this is Nevada 2.7. So find the questions. And then you're gonna have this section that says test your knowledge. And then you will see all these questions. After you read the question, because this is what happens. If you start reading from here, by the time you get to these questions, you already forgot what you read. Right? But if you go and read the question first, what is the most important reason for doing the vehicle inspection? Then go back. It says right here, section 2.1. Go back to section 2.1. And then go back to page 2.1. Actually, it's there in the screen. What does it say? The first 2 lines? Safety is the most important reason you inspect your vehicle. And that's the answer to the first question.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can highlight it. This is the best way to study for people that wants to renew their license, or even for the new students. So I'm showing you that it doesn't really matter which state you're in, the information is the same after section number 2. We just read this. Keep it clean, saludos. We just read this. This is the Nevada handbook, and this is the California handbook. Okay? Nevada handbook. Okay? Nevada commercial driver license manual. Okay? And also, not only that, but this is an older book, 2005.
Yeah.
Okay? But the information doesn't change because the information is the same. The same way you learn, the same way I learned how to drive a truck 23 years ago, it still applies today because it's all the same. The only little changes that I have seen in the last, I would say, 10 years is about the airbags. In section number 5, 2 changes. It was the cutout when I took my test, or cutout when the system is fully charged, the maximum was 130. And what's the maximum now, Ed?
125? No.
Now it's 140. And back then, the cut-in, when the compressor starts building pressure again, it was 85. Now is 100 PSI. Only those 2 changes I have seen in the last 10 years. So the information, it doesn't change. That's why when I get people, oh, do you have the new questions? Man, what do you mean the new questions? I mean, they're not changing the way it works the engine every year, unless they change the way the engine reacts, the way you need to control the braking, the way you need to look at your mirrors every year, then you're gonna have new questions. Does it make sense? So the questions are the same. Okay? So go grab your handbook, download it online, and you can start, and then you can start from here, from section number 2. Does that make sense? And this applies for Texas also, for Minnesota, for Chicago, I mean, for Illinois, or any other state. After section number 2, the information should be, will be the same information. Okay, That's why I just wanted to show you this because sometimes, I mean, it's difficult, it's a little confusing, but I just wanted to clarify and I wanted to compare these two handbooks. This is the first time I'm doing this. Actually, I actually have a handbook in my hands. Okay, okay, physical handbook. Then I'm gonna download any other handbooks, maybe from Texas, and take a look at it and see what it says about the restrictions. Okay, I haven't read the Texas handbook, but after section number 2 is gonna be all the same. Safety is the same in California. Safety is the same in Nevada. Safety is the same Texas. Anywhere you are is going to be the same test. Joselito, saludos. Ahí anda José. José, uno de nuestros estudiantes hace un par de años. How you doing, José? How's it going? Okay, so aquí vamos a andar. So that's why. So now it's going to be a lot of reading on section number 2. Okay, I just wanted to give you this basic information. So anywhere you are, this information is gonna be, I mean, it's the same for any state you're in, okay? It also works in Massachusetts, para Lopez. Right? You got it? Yeah, just let us know and then we're here, Jose, the hazmat. Okay, so it applies is the same way, okay? All Mendoza, they say, how can I get a trucking job at 18? What are you located, Mendoza? What are you located, okay? 18, you can only do intrastate, which means you can only drive inside the state. Any state you're in, okay? And Waco, Texas, okay? I don't have that many contacts over there, but let me see what I can find, okay? Send me a text, send me a message. Okay, we're gonna continue. We're here. Ahora sí vamos a continuar, Fernando. Okay?
Sí, está bien.
So, inspection. For this part, before we read this, I'm gonna put a 10-minute video so you can guys watch about the inspection, and then we're gonna go back to the handbook. Okay, page 21, page 21, okay. Page 21. Let me put a video. This is our YouTube channel. So visit our channel, subscribe to it, and then you can get a lot of information. Okay, we're gonna watch.
So my name is Ariel. I'm here to perform my pre-trip inspection for you. I'm going to be following the checklist like the DMV. First, I'm going to start with all my external
Sí, se
lights.
escucha. Sí.
Here on the top, we have my clearance lights. They're securely mounted with nuts and bolts that are present and tight. They aren't cracked, broken, or missing. Amber in color, fully functional. From there, I'm going to move over to my headlights. They're securely mounted with nuts and bolts that are present and tight. They aren't cracked, broken, or missing. Clear in color and serve 2 functions, high beam and low beam. I'm going to move over to the marker light on the inside, securely mounted with nuts and bolts present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing. Amber in color and serves 3 functions. It's a 4-way flasher, a turn signal, and a running light. From there, I'm going to step back. I'm going to check to see underneath my my engine compartment to make sure I don't have any leaks or puddles. I want to make sure my truck isn't leaning from side to side. That could maybe indicate a flat tire or maybe a bad suspension component. From there, I'm going to move on to my fluid levels. The first one being my coolant reservoir. Securely mounted with nuts and bolts present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or leaking. It's always filled to the proper level. Cap is present and tight. Hoses are securely mounted with fittings, also present and tight. They aren't cracked, broken, or leaking.
A lot of people don't know this,
Oh,
but if
okay.
you have
That's
a
not
Zillow
part of
app
the
on your
class. Okay,
phone,
sorry, guys.
you could be using it to make over $10,000.
My power steering fluid reservoir. It is securely mounted with nuts and bolts that are present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or leaking. My cap is present and tight, not cracked, broken, or leaking as well. Hoses and the fittings on the back are securely mounted. They're not cracked, broken, or leaking as well. From there, I'm going to move on to my engine oil and the dipstick. They're both securely mounted with nuts and bolts that are present and tight. They aren't cracked, broken, or leaking. The cap to the reservoir is always present and tight. My oil level is filled to the proper level, and I check that with the dipstick. Okay? From there, I'm going to move on to my clutch. Here's the connection. It's securely mounted with nuts and bolts present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing. The connection is free of any exposed wires. Okay? Now we're moving on to all fluid and air leaks. I just want to make a general check to make sure that all my electrical components are securely mounted with fittings that are present and tight. They aren't cracked, broken, or missing, and have no exposed wires. All my air lines are securely mounted with fittings that are also present and tight. They aren't cracked, broken, and there are no audible air leaks anywhere, right? Now we're moving on to the steering system. I'm gonna start with the steering column. Securely mounted with U-joints at the ends that are present and tight. They aren't cracked, broken, or missing, and no more than 10% play. That leads me to my power steering gearbox, securely mounted to the frame with nuts and bolts present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or leaking. The hoses are securely mounted with fittings that are present and tight, and those are also not cracked, broken, or leaking. From there, we're going to start moving into the steering linkage, which is made up of 5 components. They are my pitman arm here on the bottom, my drag link, my upper control arm, my lower control arm here on the bottom, and then the tie rod. These 5 components are connected with castle nuts, cotter pins, and rubber bushings. Now they're not cracked, broken, or missing, and have no excess play. My tires, I inspect them using ICD, inflation condition depth. My inflation is a minimum of 100 PSI per the manufacturer standard. I check this at the valve stem, which is properly capped, not cracked, not broken, and not leaking. Now condition, my overall tire tread is worn evenly. I have no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts on the inner or the outer wall. And there are, most importantly, no leaks. Now depth, my overall tire tread depth is no less than 4/32 of an inch. I check this with a tire depth gauge, 2/32 of an inch on the rear tires, okay? Now we're jumping back into the rims. I wanna mention that my tires are always properly beaded to my rim. The rim itself is securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or missing, and has no illegal welds. That rim is secured with lug nuts. My lug nuts are present and tight, not cracked, not broken, not missing, no rust or shininess that would indicate looseness on the threads. From there, I'm gonna move on to my suspension system, which starts with my spring mount here and my spring hanger in the back. They're both securely mounted to the frame with nuts and bolts that are present and tight. They're not cracked, broken, or missing, and have no illegal welds. In between the spring mount and the hangers, there are rubber bushings that are present and tight. Those are also not cracked, broken, or missing. My spring mount and hanger hold up my leaf springs. My leaf springs are securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or missing. They're not shifted from side to side and have no more than 1/4 of damage. The leaf springs are held down with 2 U-bolts and 4 nuts that are always present and tight, and they are not cracked, broken, or missing as well. From there, I'm going to move on to my shock absorber, securely mounted to the frame and the axle with nuts and bolts that are present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or leaking. There's hydraulic fluid inside, okay? Now we're moving on to brake lines and hoses. Here's my brake line, or my air hose, securely mounted with fittings that are present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or leaking. This is my ABS line. It's securely mounted with a fitting that is present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing, and has no exposed wires, okay? Now I'm gonna check for brake contaminants in between my brake drum and my brake pad. First of all, I'm gonna start with the drum. It's securely mounted with nuts and bolts that are present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing, and free of any brake contaminants, no debris, oil, or grease. Next, I have my brake lining, securely mounted with nuts and bolts present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing, also free of any debris, oil, or grease, and is not worn less than 1/4 of material, okay? So now we're gonna do the side of the vehicle. First, I'm gonna start off with my lenses and reflectors. This is my first reflector. It is securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or missing. It's amber in color when it lights up, and it has 3 functions. It's a 4-way flasher, a turn signal, and a running light. From there, I'm gonna move over to my traffic monitoring devices. In other words, my mirrors and the brackets. They're both securely mounted to the door with nuts and bolts that are present and tight. The mirror isn't cracked, broken, or missing, and has no illegal stickers, rock chips, and is adjusted to my preference. I'm gonna move over to the battery compartment, securely mounted with nuts and bolts present and tight. The connections on the inside aren't cracked, broken, or missing, have no exposed wires, and no corrosion, okay? From there, I'm gonna move over to my fuel tank and my def tank. I'm gonna start with the def tank. It's securely mounted with nuts and bolts that are present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or leaking. My cap is always present and tight, properly vented. I'm gonna move over to my fuel tank, securely mounted to the frame with the static straps, which are present and tight. The static straps aren't cracked, broken, or missing. The fuel tank itself isn't cracked, broken, or leaking. My cap is always present and tight and properly vented. This is the frame and the cross member. They're both securely mounted with nuts and bolts present and tight. They aren't cracked, broken, or missing, and have no illegal welds. They're not bent and all straight. Now I'm gonna move over to my combination vehicle portion. First, I'm gonna start with my electric line. securely mounted to both the tractor and the trailer with the safety latch in place. My electric line isn't cracked, broken, or missing and has no exposed wires, okay? From there, I'm gonna move over to my 2 air lines. The blue is my service line, the red is my emergency line. They're securely mounted to the trailer with my fittings that are present and tight. The air lines themselves aren't cracked, broken, or leaking. The fittings themselves aren't cracked, broken, or leaking. They're connected to my trailer through my glad hands. My glad hands are securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or leaking. Inside the glad hand, I have a rubber seal. It's present, not cracked, broken, or leaking as well. From there, I'm gonna move on to my coupling components here on the bottom. I'm gonna start with my trailer apron, securely mounted to the trailer floor with nuts and bolts present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing. It has no illegal welds. It rests on top of my 5th wheel skid plate. It is securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or missing, properly lubricated. In between the apron and the skid plate, there is no gap or no daylight. Inside of my 5th wheel skid plate, I have a kingpin. It is securely mounted to the trailer apron with nuts and bolts, not present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing, and has no illegal welds. Wrapped around the shank of the kingpin are my locking jaws. They're fully engaged, not cracked, broken, or missing, and again, no illegal welds. My locking jaws are controlled by my safety latch and release arm, which is always fully engaged in a locked position. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing as well. My 5th wheel skid plate is secured to my sliding rail through my locking pins. My locking pins are always fully engaged, not cracked, broken, or missing. Now, holding together my platform, my sliding rail, are my mounting bolts. I want to make sure all my mounting bolts are present and tight, not cracked, not broken, not missing, and again, no illegal welds. My trailer. Start first with my landing gear. I'm going to follow the order of the list. My landing gear is securely mounted to the trailer floor with nuts and bolts present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing and has no illegal welds. The landing gear shoes are also securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or missing. They are proper clearance from the ground and the frame. Now, these are also free of any debris that would cause it to be unstable. Here's my crank handle. It is always securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or missing, and is in a safe position. Here's my DOT reflective tape. It is securely mounted, present on at least 50% of the vehicle, side of the vehicle, excuse me, and it isn't cracked, broken, or missing. From there, I'm going to move on to lenses of reflector on the rear of the trailer. On top here, we have a clearance light, securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or missing. It's amber in color and fully functional. ABS light, securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or missing. One function, just an ABS light. Amber in color, fully functional. This is a red marker light, securely mounted with nuts and bolts present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing. Again, a red color, fully functional. Okay, in the back, on top, I have red clearance lights. They're securely mounted with nuts and bolts present and tight. They aren't cracked, broken, or missing, red in color, and again, fully functional. Back here, I have my tail lights and reflectors. They're securely mounted, not cracked, not broken, not missing, red in color, 4 functions. It's a 4-way flasher, turn signal, running light, and brake light. Okay. In the back here, I also have DOT reflective tape. Just want to make sure it's properly spaced and running across the bumper. Last but not least, I have my license plate. It is securely mounted with nuts and bolts present and tight. It isn't cracked, broken, or missing. It is properly visible. My light bulb is again securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or missing, and again, fully visible.
Okay, so that's the basic information. So that's the information we're going to be reviewing right now in section number 2. I just wanted you guys to watch the video because we're going to be going over that information. And after we finish part of this section, we're going to do a practice test based on this video, which is the first presentation. Okay, you can turn the light on. Thank you. Okay, so we already saw the inspection. Obviously, it's for safety. Okay, it says right here, and then there's gonna be another question. It's gonna be about the vehicle inspection report. The vehicle inspection report is one inspection that each driver needs to do it or submit it at the end of each day. Ahorita llega el muchacho. Todavía no llega como. Okay. All right. Ahorita llega. Okay. So the inspection report. This is the old logbook. The logbook paper logbook. Now we use electronic logbook. On the back of the logbook, we have the inspection report for the driver to do every day, but also before the ELD systems, we use to carry a separate handbook, which is called the driver inspection report. And basically, it's the same information that I have in the back of the logbook to fill out on a daily basis. So this book was one on each truck. If the truck was driven by 3 different drivers, it was the same book to be used on the same truck for all 3 drivers. So what happened? Let's say Ed came last night as a driver and he did his driving, and then at the end of the day, he realized that one of the brake lights is not working. Okay, so in this inspection report, Ed is gonna fill this out at the end, at the beginning and at the end, and noting that which part of the truck or trailer or which light is not working. In the remarks, is gonna note, okay, the left-hand side of the trailer brake light is not working. And then over here where it says condition of the vehicle, you're gonna check it if it's satisfactory. If it's safe, you're gonna check it. If it's not safe, don't check the little box, but you still need to sign on the first line on top to indicate that you did the inspection report. So Ed goes home because he already completed his hours. Next session or next shift, Fernando comes in as a driver. And then Fernando, before he drives that truck, I mean, this is before the ELD, okay? Now, usually one truck is assigned to one driver, unless you're doing team driving. Okay, so Fernando, the first day before you go drive that truck, he's gonna go back to the inspection report and see what the previous driver said. Oh, it said that the brake light is not working. So Fernando will be looking on this inspection report on the second line, where it says above defects corrected or doesn't need to be corrected, and then the mechanic's signature and dates. If the mechanic already signed this and dated, then I can use the vehicle again. After the mechanic signs, then the next driver, Fernando, is gonna sign on the line number 3 and date it again, accepting the report of the mechanic. Otherwise, if he hasn't been corrected, sign it and don't drive the unit. Okay, so this is, as I said, this is the old way. This is the old school. It's paper reports. Okay, nowadays we have the electronic logbooks, but you're still required to carry a paper logbook as a backup, just in case the system fails. Okay, so that's why it says right here. When are you gonna sign the inspection report? Okay, make sure it says right here, if the defects have been repaired, sign the previous driver report, and then you can use that specific equipment. Does it make sense? I know it's a little confusing. So this is the communication between the driver and the company, the inspection reports. If you don't do the inspection reports, as the company owner or the shop will never know. If you don't let me know on the inspection report that my truck has a flat tire, that my truck has missing a lug bolt or a light that is not working, I'm gonna assume that the truck is 100% in good condition. But if you let me know tomorrow morning when I come in, that's the first thing I'm gonna check the inspection reports. What did the instructor say? What did the students say? Okay, that's why it's important to know how to do the logbook, also either paper or electronic, because now we use electronic, but we're supposed to submit the electronic logbook on a daily basis to the school, to the email. I'll show you that later today, how to do it, okay? All right, so we're gonna continue, okay? It's about the inspection, about the pre-trip inspection, again. It says for safety, we have three different inspections. One is the pre-trip inspection at the beginning before you leave the yard. Number 2 is going to be the en route inspection or trip inspection when you're driving. The next question, Fernando, can you go back to page 27 on your handbook, Fernando?
27, okay. 27. Okay, I am the 27.
Okay, what is the question? What is the question number 2? He's in Nevada.
The question is that what the thing should you check during a trip?
What things do you check during a trip inspection, right?
The trip inspection.
Is that what it says? Also, you're good. Okay. And he's in Nevada. I am in California. Okay. So it says right here, trip inspection. For safety during a trip, you should watch for gauges, for signs of trouble, use your senses to check for problems, look at your vehicle in general, listen, smell, something smells really weird inside the cab, and feel, oh, the steering wheel feels too loose. Or when I brake, I feel like the steering wheel pulls to one side. That might be an indication of a problem on your vehicle. Might be a problem on your brakes, your tires, or suspension. Okay, that's the most important thing. Last time I got in the truck with my class, we left the yard. Not even 1 block away, I noticed that it was really noisy inside the cab. So I had the student pull over, trying to find out what was wrong with it. And what it was, the rubber boot on the gear shift tower, you know, the rubber boot around it. Someone, when got in the cab, kicked it accidentally and took it off. So all the engine noise was coming to the inside of the cab. So it was really noisy and really bad. So I put the seal back in place and problem solved. Okay. So listen, so that's what you're going to be looking for when you're driving. Okay. All right. So next one, next portion right here. What to look for on the tires? What problems to look for on the tires? What's the minimum tread depth on the tires, Ed? The tread depth on the tires, what's the minimum tread depth on the front tires? According to the video we just watched.
110, no, what is 110? I think.
No, you can see it. You guys can see it in the screen right here.
Oh.
Minimum 432 on the front tires.
Oh, 432.
And 232 on the other tires. It was in the video also. Okay, but mainly we're gonna be also looking for testing purposes for the written exam. It's gonna be, there you go, 432 mismatch sizes. Make sure you always have the same size, and make sure the radial and bias place cannot be used together also. Okay, so that's what you're gonna be looking for on the written exam. You're gonna have question which of this is not true, or which of this is true. So whatever you see here, try to remember. Okay. Okay. The basic info. I know it's not easy to remember all the information, but this is to build information to use throughout your career. Okay. Brakes. Every time you see a question about the brakes, mainly is going to be looking for oil, grease, or any other fluid in the brake system, in the brake pads. Okay, the brake shoes, to the brake drum. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Lopez. Okay, so that's going to be, anytime you see a question about brakes, make sure you look for brake contaminants. No fluid, no oil, no grease in the brake system. Okay, the steering system defects. What is the steering system? The steering wheel components. From the steering wheel inside the cab all the way down to the other side. All these components in the picture right here are parts of the steering system. Mainly the steering wheel plate, no more than 10 degrees, which is about 2 inches on a 20-inch steering wheel. Okay, so any play, excessive play on the steering wheel, you need to correct it because it's really important. Otherwise, I mean, imagine if you can feel the play when doing 5 miles an hour. Now imagine that play doing 55 miles an hour. It's really dangerous, okay, when driving. Okay, problems in the steering system, steering wheel play, problem on the brake system. What problems do we look for on the brake system? Brakes system.
Brake system.
Oil, grease, or any other fluid, okay? Juan, this, I just passed my CDL test right now. Great job, congratulations. Okay, congratulations, Juan. Where did you pass the test, Juan? Which state and which DMV? I mean, which state, obviously, mainly, okay? Good job, congratulations, okay? Suspension system, any minimum damage in Colorado. Okay, good job. Congratulations, Colorado State. Okay, and the suspension system mainly is going to be if 1/4 of the total amount is missing, damage, or damage is going to place the vehicle out of service. What is the damage? You can see on the suspension leaf springs, any missing parts on the brackets. Okay, that will be an indication of the suspension, or any components on the shock absorber or the airbags either leaking or something not safe. That will be on the suspension system. Okay, any minimum. Okay, good job. Okay, exhaust system. Right now, the winter is coming. So yesterday was really cold. Actually, 2 days ago was really cold. I mean, it was cold for us, right? But it's so mainly you're gonna be driving with the heater on inside your vehicle. So you're gonna have your windows rolled up. So this is when it comes the exhaust system defects really important. Okay, because they run from the engine, under the cab all the way to the back, but in between under the vehicle they have a lot of connections. If those connections are loose or cracked, they're going to be leaking poisonous fumes that can get inside the cab and kill you. Okay, especially if you get stuck in the snow. Sometimes, one time I got stuck for about 10 hours. That I have seen drivers that they get stuck in the snow for up to 30 hours. Big Brahim, how are you, my man? How are you doing? Good morning. Okay, so all the truck drivers, we know the importance of the exhaust system. Make sure it has no leaks. I don't know why DMV took it out of the inspection list. And to me, that's really important. When you look for leaks on the exhaust system, so pay attention. Any questions about the brakes? We said fluid, oil. Any questions about the suspension? Obviously, any damage? 1/4 or more. Any questions about the exhaust system? Pay attention. Is the question for the cold weather season, or is a different system? If it's in cold weather, that's the most important to look for the exhaust system. And how do you know also that it has a bad leak? Make sure the leak it has a black mark, black soot. If it's gray or any other color, that's nothing. But if it has black soot around the connections, that might be an indication of leak. Okay, so make sure always you inspect your vehicle, especially in the winter season. Make sure you check for leaks on the exhaust system under your vehicle. Okay, okay. What is the emergency equipment? What are the 3 components on the emergency equipment?
Fire extinguishers, for electric fuses.
The fire extinguisher. You always need to have a fire extinguisher. You can see the 3 dots right there on the screen. The fire extinguisher, you need to have a fire extinguisher in your vehicle, properly rated. Okay, make sure it's not moving, not loose, moving around. You need to have the spare fuses, regular fuses, and you need the warning devices, the red triangles. Okay, at least 3 of them. That's mandatory. That's a regulation that you need to have in the system. Okay, I mean in your vehicle. Okay, so that's the emergency equipment. That should be no difficult to remember. Okay, so the next one. Okay, now that we know the basics over here, we're gonna do the safe start. We're gonna go the safe start and inspect the inside of the cab. Obviously, you're gonna make sure liquid burning flares, that's not required. That's optional, okay? But the mandatory, you need to have the extinguisher, the triangles, and the fuses, regular fuses, okay? The others are just optional, okay? Okay, so getting on step number 3, start the engine and inspect inside of the cab, okay? Obviously, make sure the parking brake is on. You make sure that the parking brake is on, Ed. Which one is the parking brake? Yellow one.
The
¿Se
yellow one.
recuerda, ¿se recuerda Fernando?
Yeah, the yellow one, the other one, the red one is emergency. Yeah.
Let me see if I can. Here. Let me see. Oh, okay. Okay. So the red one is the trailer air supply or the
Trailer.
emergency, and the yellow one is the parking brake. So how do you know? How do you know that the parking brake is applied?
Oh, ya se nos olvidó.
It's out. It's out. It's not pushed in.
When it's
Like the brakes, either for parking or emergency brakes. Okay, so that's what it says right there. Obviously, make sure the parking brake is on. Make sure it's in neutral if you have a manual transmission, and then start the engine. This is after we do the inspection outside, right? After we check all the fluids and everything. Okay, uh, start the engine and listen for unusual noises. If equipped with the ABS, that's when you check the ABS. Before, when you turn the ignition on, that's when you're gonna see the ABS light on the dash, on the dashboard. You will see the ABS light indicator to make sure it works, okay? The light on the dash should come on and off after you, and then off after you start the engine, okay? If it stays on, something is not right in the ABS system. Okay, for trailers, you know, we have the amber light on the outside, on the rear corner of the driver's side. Okay, and then use the clutch to do the safe start. To do the safe start. After you start the engine, what happens to the gauges? Gauge 25, the oil pressure should come to normal within seconds, usually 3 to 5 seconds, we used to say. And then the water temperature also should begin to gradually rise because it's warming up, okay? This is going to be on the test. What should happen when you start the engine? The coolant temperature should begin to gradually rise, okay? Again, the steering wheel play. Again, what's the steering wheel play? What's the maximum play on the steering wheel?
wheel.
We use read that information.
520.
What are we looking for on the steering wheel play? Now, what's the steering wheel play?
520?
10%,
No.
10% of 10 degree. Okay. 10% maximum play. Okay. Again, that's important to check. Okay, next page. Let's go to the next page. So need to 7 to 8.
To 8?
To 8. Actually, to 8 on the California Handbook. Okay. I don't know, Nevada might be different, but yeah, this is what we have on the screen. Yes, Tony B. Okay. Did I say it right? Tony or Tony? Tony. Okay. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Okay. Lights. Lights. There's gonna be one question. There's one question about the lights. Which lights you cannot check together? And you can see the notes in the screen. It says check of the brake, turn signal, and forward flasher functions must be done separately. Why is that? Why is that? Because most of the vehicles have one light that it has all the functions. So this light, the rear light, mainly, it operates as a running light. It operates as a turn signal. it operates as the forward flasher and the brake light. So the same light. So that's why it has different different connections right here, because you have different functions. Okay. So the same light, it's only one light bulb inside. It does all the functions. So when you have the true signal and then you turn on the forward flashers, it's going to cancel the other one to operate the other one, and so on. Does it make sense? That's why it's going to be one question about which lights you cannot check at the same time. It's going to be the brakes, signal, and forward flasher lights or functions. Okay. Step number 7. This is for hydraulic brakes system, regular vehicles usually. It says how to check for hydraulic brake leaks. You remember how to check the hydraulic brakes, Ed? We saw that in section number 5, 2 days ago. I have it highlighted. I have it highlighted on the lower part. Pump the brakes 3 times and hold it for how long? 5 seconds. So anybody over here, has anybody done the hydraulic brake check in your personal vehicle? Every time I ask someone, how do you check your brakes to make sure they work? Everyone says, well, I check it has the fluid. I make sure, I mean, I don't know. You check the fluids, make sure it has brake fluid, and that's all I do. I always say, this is what you do in the morning. You get out of your house, you get in your car, you start it up, you place it in gear, release the brakes, and then you drive and you hope that it stops at the stop sign. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Tony B. Thank you for being here. This is the goal to help as much as we can. Okay. We have had people in Nebraska, Colorado, in LA area that has passed the permit path because they watch our videos. Okay. So that's why I would say this is not easy because it's a lot of reading. Most of the times, most of the people say, oh, just go to YouTube, go download this app and practice, memorize information, and go to DMV. I mean, that's an easy way to do it. But then sometimes you just memorize the answer, but you don't even know why. Just because the app says that's the correct answer, you go to DMV, you pass, but then you don't know why you chose that answer, right? Okay. But we're trying to explain as much as we can in details to make sure you guys understand. So I would say if you understand the system, how it works, they can ask you in 100 different ways. You should always know the answer. Right, Ed? Okay, so hydraulic brakes is pretty simple. Turn on the engine, pump the brake 3 times, hold it for 5 seconds. If it doesn't move, then you know that your brake system is good. If it moves, it might be a leak or might be low in level of fluid. Then that's an indication. That's pretty simple. This hydraulic. It's gonna be 2 questions about the hydraulic brakes. One obviously is gonna be how do you check the hydraulic brakes, which is this one. The other one is gonna be the other question is gonna be which of this system you can check when the vehicle is not moving. It's gonna have the separate brake, emergency brake, and hydraulic brake. Which one? Which one of those 3? Which one you can do without moving the vehicle? Which system you can check without moving the vehicle? Hydraulic brakes. That's the only one because in order to check the air brakes, we have to move the vehicle. There you go, Lopez, Massachusetts. Okay. Hydraulic brake, that's the only one you can do without moving the vehicle. That's what I said. Start the engine, pump the brakes. Without moving it, pump the brake 3 times, hold it for 5 seconds, and that's how you check the hydraulic brakes. And then without moving it, obviously. Versus the air brakes. Parking brake, which is the yellow one, right? Parking brake is the yellow one right here. How to check the parking brake. Listen, this is what you do in the morning in your car. You get in your car, you fasten the seat belt, Okay, in this case, it says you're gonna set the parking brake, so you're gonna make sure that the yellow one is popped out, not in. It's popped out to make sure the parking brake is set. But before you do this, make sure the air system is fully charged, because if you have no air, the parking brake valve is not gonna stay in, because it has no pressure to keep the spring brake away in the brake system. So before you do this, you gotta make sure that you wait for normal air pressure, that the system is fully charged. So wait in the gauge, start it up until you reach cutout. And what is the cutout again? When the system is fully charged? Average 125, the maximum is 140. So after the system is fully charged, this is the difference between the hydraulic and the air brakes. On the hydraulic brake, you start the engine and do it. Air brakes, you have to build pressure to make sure this the brake system is gonna operate safely. Because if you have no air in the tanks, you're gonna have this noisy loud noise loud in the sound in the cab, saying that it has no air. Okay, and then you have to build pressure, so when you push this in, it's gonna stay in when you push the parking. Okay, after you have enough air pressure, then you do this: fasten the seat belt, set the parking brake, which is the yellow one, pull it out, release the trailer brake, which is the red one. Now you're gonna push the red one in. Otherwise, you're gonna have the trailer and the parking brake applied. So you push in to free the trailer wheels, and only the parking brake is on. Then place the vehicle in low gear, and then release the clutch slowly, or try to move the vehicle forward slowly against the parking brake. Okay? If the vehicle does not roll forward, you can feel the vehicle moving, but it's not rolling forward, the parking brake is working good. Then to do the trailer, the same thing, you switch positions between to check the trailer, pull the red one out and push this one in to free the truck wheels, the tractor, and then now you're gonna pull against the trailer. That's how you check the trailer brakes. Okay? And then if it doesn't hold the vehicle, something is not right on the trailer brake system. Okay? Now the service brake. Which one is the service brake? Service. Which one, Fernando?
Drive the vehicle about 5 miles.
No, but which one is the service brake?
The service brake?
Yeah, which one is the service brake?
Service brake, I don't know.
You can see it in the screen.
The service brake, push.
The service brake is the brake pedal. El
Okay.
pedal. Okay?
The brake pedal.
Drive the vehicle forward, then come to stop. If it stops, it's working, right? If it pulls
Push
to
the
one
brake.
side, if it pulls to one side, maybe the brakes are one brake on the side is out of adjustment. Maybe the brake pad is damaged or missing or needs to be replaced, or some cracks that is not making a lot of friction on the brake drum. Maybe if it's cracked, it's not making the friction that you need, so it's pulling to one side. That's how you check the service brakes. Okay, so that's why if you put the vehicle pulls to one side, remember it can be damage in the brake system, out of adjustment or any damage, or the brake pads they need to be replaced. Something that indicates trouble. Okay, all right. So that's the brakes. I know we're going really slow, but I'm trying to explain as much as we can. Okay, on this portion of the vehicle, the inspection. Okay, thank you for being here with us on TikTok. Okay, let's keep going with the likes. Okay. Because if we don't get the likes, I mean, because I'm getting tired holding my phone. I need to have something to hold the phone, over here. Okay, this is simple. I think I have my tools at home to hold my phone, but then when I come to the office, I forget. So now I have to hold it by hand. Okay, and then I be holding it for what? And Ed don't want to hold the phone for me. He has to study music. Okay, let me see. Never mind. Bueno, déjeme acomodar mi teléfono. There you go. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Okay. So now we're gonna go. Now we're gonna go to the subsection 2.1. Okay. So this is the first portion that we just finished. That's basically about the inspections. Okay, now we're gonna go to the basic control. Basic control of the vehicle is gonna be these 4 steps. Accelerating, how to use the accelerator correctly, how to hold the steering wheel correctly. Because a lot of drivers, when they come here, they want to drive like they're driving their car, right? Also, how to safely come to stop sign or stoplight, and they how to safely do backing maneuvers. Okay, all right. So number 1, accelerating. It says right here, do not roll back when you start. Do not roll back when you start or when you take off on a hill. Okay, and then, buenos días, ¿cómo está? Muy bien, gracias. ¿Todo bien? Okay. All right, so it says right here, do not roll back when you start because you may hit someone or something behind, especially if you have a manual transmission. If you have a manual transmission, it says right here, partly engage the clutch before you take your right foot off the brake. How many of you guys right here know how to use the clutch? You know how to use the clutch in a regular vehicle? Fernando, you know how to use the clutch?
I used it before in a truck, but not in a trailer.
Okay. Okay. So anybody over here knows how to use the clutch? ¿Tiene alguna pregunta, don? Okay. Véngase por acá. Estamos en la clase, pero le contestamos, ok. ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo se llama? Él, Arreola. Luego, tenemos otros en línea. Ajá. Ajá. ¿Qué día tiene libre? ¿O a qué hora sale? Ok. Es una clase nomás. Es una clase. Es una clase que dura como 2 o 3 horas más. Hace la clase aquí, luego al final de la clase. So for the hazmat, you come here about 2-3 hour max. We do the class, we do the session, and then you take the test for the school. Ya si lo pasa, lo mandamos a la certificación. Si me da como una hora, le llamo y déjeme mirar mi calendario y a ver si tienes para hacer eso. Muchacho que ahorita también me llamó, también quiere de su casa. Ok. Es que es la única que requiere en escuela. ¿Qué? Déjeme, ¿tiene el mismo número de teléfono? Ok. Denle a mi muchacho, denle el número ahí y yo le llamo ahorita que tenga que termine la clase. Anda, gracias, Daniel. Rubén Miramontes, saludos. ¿Cómo está, Rubén? All right. So, anybody over here in the TikTok knows how to use the clutch? Regular clutch or any manual vehicle? Okay, you do. Lopez, you do. Okay. Let me ask you this. I have the book highlighted in blue. Okay. It says partly engage the clutch. Let me ask you this. Yes, in my car. Okay. How do you engage the clutch? How what is the action that it engages the clutch? Ed said you press the clutch down. Fernando, how do you engage the clutch?
Before you take your right foot
No.
the brake.
But
No?
I'm asking, what is the action
Oh,
to engage the clutch? So Tony B and Lopez, how do you engage the clutch?
wait. I think when my left hand. I don't know.
It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, with my left hand, no hand is that like foot.
What is the action that it engages the clutch? And then I'm gonna ask the other question also. Oh, now let me do it this way. What is the action that it disengages the clutch? So Ed said, I engage the clutch when I push the clutch down. But the book says, imagine this situation. You go to San Francisco. Have you been in San Francisco? You get stopped right on top of the hill going up, and you have a manual vehicle. So when you stop, what is the position of the clutch when you stop?
And inside.
José, saludos, buen día. When you stop at the hill, what is your clutch and the brake? No, but what is the clutch and the brake pedal when you stop on top going uphill? When stop, the clutch is all the way down and the brake is down. Kevin sí sabe. El Kevin sí sabe. Okay, so when you stop, you have the clutch and the brake in. Is the clutch engaged or disengaged? Both down. There you go. Engaged. Ed said the clutch is engaged when you stop. No, that's disengaged because it's disconnecting the power from the engine to the actual wheels that make the vehicle move. It's disconnected. It's disengaged. You engage the clutch when you release it to make the vehicle move. You engage the gears. Right? Does it make sense? So when the clutch is all the way down, the clutch is disengaged because you disengage the gears. So as you release the clutch, you are engaging the clutch because you're connecting the gears to make the vehicle roll forward. That's why it says right here, if you have a manual transmission, partly engage the clutch. So what are you going to do then? You're going to take your foot off the clutch slowly, holding the brake down. When you feel the truck is trying to pull forward, it's trying to move, hold the clutch right there and then release the brake and let it roll slowly, controlling the clutch. I have a video on TikTok and YouTube doing this action. I have not that many comments. Yes. And I did it in third gear, fourth, and fifth gear. A lot of people is commenting, oh, that's not right. It's wrong because you're going to damage your vehicle when you're driving in real life. Is that how it works? If the truck is heavy, it's not how it works. Obviously not. Obviously, it doesn't work like that. But I did that exercise to show you how to control the clutch. Everyone said, you need to use a lower gear because you're going to stall the engine. And they are right. It would stall the engine. But if you cannot control the clutch, taking off in second, third, and fourth gear, and you kill the engine, that means you need to practice it. That means you need to practice it. You have no control of the clutch yet. Okay? That's why I make my students practice in third, second, third, fourth, and sometimes even fifth gear to make sure they know how to control the clutch with the left foot and then they don't pop the clutch out and kill the engine. Because that's what you need to do. Okay, practice. If you kill the engine, that means you need to practice it. Obviously, don't try it with a heavy truck, with a heavy trailer. But if you cannot take off in this gear, so control the clutch without starting the engine, you need to practice clutch control. Okay, so it says right here, apply the parking brake, apply the parking brake whenever necessary to keep the vehicle from running. I don't like to use the parking brake. I like to use the brake pedal instead, hold the brakes. As I release the clutch pedal to engage it, then once it's rolling, I take my foot off the brake and slowly let it roll forward without starting out the engine. Okay, does it make sense? But this one takes practice. That's what I always say. If you come as a new student without using the clutch, it's going to be easier for you to learn this because you do not have the bad habits. Otherwise you want to drive the big rig like your personal car. You want to hit the gas before you release the clutch, and then it's going to slightly roll back. If you try to do that with that 80,000-pound vehicle, you're not moving the vehicle forward. It's going to start jerking, shaking, and damaging the coupling system. That's why it says right here, speed up smoothly and gradually so the vehicle does not jerk. When pulling a trailer, rough acceleration can damage the coupling. Okay? That's the right way to do it. Okay? Steering. The steering wheel. How to hold the steering wheel. Common sense. Hold the steering wheel with both hands on the opposite sides. Okay? Yeah, okay. 9 and 3, whatever. Just make sure you have it on both sides in the opposite directions. Okay? But both hands on the steering wheel. Just in case you hit a curb or hit something, a pothole you didn't see or something, I mean, you're going to have control. Okay? Then stopping. When you come to stop, Ed, how do you come to stop on a manual transmission vehicle? What do you do with the gear shift? What does that mean? You put it in gear or you put it in neutral? You see, that's a bad habit we need to change. Listen, what's the weight of your vehicle? The vehicle you drive, what's the, roughly? How much what's the weight? It's about 6,000 pounds versus 80,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
This is how everyone drives. They come to a stop sign, place it in neutral, step on the clutch and the brake. I mean, you don't need the clutch because it's in neutral. Use the brake. If you do that with 80,000 pounds, when coming to stop or slowing down, especially if you're going downhill, you're not stopping the vehicle. You're not stopping 80,000 pounds with the brake only. So
No.
always keep it in gear. Always keep it in gear. Always keep it in gear. Use the brake only. It says right here. Push the brake down gradually. Okay, and it says right here, if you have a manual transmission, push the clutch in when the RPM or the engine is close to idle RPM. So which means keep it in gear. Use the brake only. And then what's the idle RPM usually? It's about 600 RPM. So when the engine is running, the RPM gauge is indicating about 600, number 6. So it means if you step on the brake at 600 RPM, you're gonna stall the engine, okay? You're gonna kill the engine. So, but usually when you're driving, the RPM is about 13 or higher RPM. So you're gonna use the brake only until the RPM is getting to 6, about 8, then use the clutch to prevent the vehicle to stall up at idle RPM. But always keep it in gear. Or just like you said, when you go downhill, you're gonna use the engine, the braking effect of the engine, which is the retarder. But if you place it in neutral, you disconnect all the power. Neither the retarder or the engine brake is gonna operate because it's not connected. Okay, those are the habits that we need to change.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why it becomes difficult when I get people that they know how to drive manual. That's the difficult part to change the information, right? Okay, so next one, backing safely. It says right here, avoid backing whenever possible. Avoid backing whenever you can. Or when you park, try to park so you will be able to pull forward when you leave. But if you have to do backing, okay, if you have to do backing, follow these procedures. Start in the proper position, look at your path, use the mirrors on both sides, back slowly, turn towards the driver's side, and use a helper whenever possible. But if you use a helper, the most important thing is if you use a helper before you begin backing, work out a set of hand signals that you both understand. Agree on a signal for stop. What is the signal for stop? There you go. How do you say it? How do you say it? What is this? About how do you call this action? You make what? Make a fist. Okay. So you do this. This is the action. Okay. Anytime you see this, that means stop. Okay. Or make sure you guys agree on a signal between you and your helper. Okay. That's the very important. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the next page.
Okay.
Shifting gears. Shifting gears on manual. There are two ways to know how to shift. Up. Number one, using the RPM. I mean, that's normal. That's what you do in your car. You listen to your engine, shift, right? That's the RPM. That's the engine RPM. And the other one, so that's one way to know when to shift the engine RPM, and the other one, the use the road speed, the mileage per hour. So I always say it's like driving. It's like driving doing 55 miles an hour. Suddenly, someone pulls in front of your vehicle, and then you went from 55 to 35 miles an hour. And that's when you need to know, oh, I'm at 35, what gear should I go to? It depends on the vehicle, it depends on the transmission type you're driving. If you're driving at 10, 13, 15, 18 speed, so it's gonna change different gears. But if you know how to use the RPM always work the same. The RPM is going high, go to the next gear. RPM is going down. When you slow down, go to the lower gear, next lower gear. Okay, so RPM and road speed. That's how you know how to shift. Okay, so same thing, like upshifting, we have two special situations where to downshift. When do you downshift? Before you start going down a hill, before you go down the hill, because remember, once you start going downhill, don't step on the clutch because you disengage it. And then instead of slowing down, the gravity of the vehicle is going to push you down and there's no way you can recover. And before you enter the curve, those two situations that you need to do a downshift or place it in a lower gear. Okay. All right. So next one is going to be the retarders. This is right here. There are four basic types of retarders. Okay. The exhaust, that's the most loud one. The engine, hydraulic, and electric. All retarders can be turned on and off by the driver. There's gonna be one question, which of this is not a type of retarder? It's gonna be the robotic. It's asking which one is not, okay? Let me get it. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now, thank you guys. Thank you for being here, Question the questions, and Matthew, did you review the knowledge already? No, not yet, Matthew. We're barely reading the handbook, so I said yesterday maybe around 12:30 or 1 p.m. So I don't even know we're gonna be done by then. Okay. Okay, so we're barely in page 211. Okay, now I'm gonna go a little faster. Okay, doing this revision on the rest. Next page. Next page over here. Okay, next page is 212, right? 212. Okay. Seeing ahead when driving, seeing ahead, how far you need to look forward? About 12 to 15 seconds. What does that mean? 12 to 15 seconds. According to the picture right here, city driving about 12 to 15 seconds, about 1 block. At highway speed, it's about 1/4 mile. Okay. 12 to 15 seconds, city driving about 1 block, highway about 1/4 mile. Also, you need to look for traffic. You need to look for traffic and road conditions. Okay. Especially if a traffic light has been green for a long time, it will probably change before you get there. Start slowing down and be ready to stop. It always happens, especially at nighttime, right? You approach a green light and it changes. Okay, so look for traffic and road conditions. Look into the sights. How to use the mirrors. Most vehicles, I mean, if not all the vehicles have the convex mirrors, the fish eye, spot eye, bug eye mirrors. Okay, what do they do in this in the testing on the general knowledge? When you see a question, what do the convex mirror do? They show a wider area than flat mirrors. What's up, Michael? Reload. Okay, they show a wider area than regular mirrors, than flat mirrors. Okay, and you can see in the figure right here, all the gray area is the blind spot. That's what the convex mirrors do, show. Okay, so that's the question. I mean, when you see a question about the answer about the question about the convex mirror, they show a wider area. Okay, mirror adjustment. There is only one way to adjust the mirrors. You can only adjust the mirrors when you're straight. So you make sure you adjust the mirrors before you leave the yard, where you can get your truck and trailer in a straight position. Don't try to adjust when driving. That's a distraction. Okay, it becomes really dangerous. Vehicle, check your vehicle. It's one way to know what's going on with your trailer. Look at your mirrors. Look at your mirrors so you can see what's going on with your trailer, with your load, with your tie downs, or anything, especially when you do flatbed. Look at the mirror so you know what's going on. Before you make lane changes, before you change lanes, to make sure there is enough room, obviously. After you signal to check that no one has moved into the blind spot, make sure it's clear. If there's gonna be one question, you see a vehicle approaching from the rear on the left side in your mirror. Next time you check your mirror, you don't see the vehicle. What do? Do you assume that it disappeared, it went away, or you want to make sure it's not in your blind spot? Make sure it's not in your blind spot. There you go. Okay. Uh, Tight maneuvers. Anytime you're driving in close quarters, check your mirrors often. Make sure you have enough clearance. Okay. Next page. Communication. Signal your intentions. Your intentions. I always say, your lights is your language. The lights is your language when driving a heavy vehicle. Signal early. Signal early before you make the turn. Is the best way to tell others, to keep others from trying to pass. Signal continuously. When it says continuously, on the big rigs, the turn signal handle, they do not cancel automatically. They're gonna stay on just in case to make a adjustment, go wider. It's gonna stay on, so you make sure you turn it off. You cancel your signal after you complete your turn because it's not gonna go off automatically. That's for safety, just in case you need to go wider to make adjustments. Lane changes. Put your turn signal on before changing lanes. Change lanes slowly and smoothly. That way, a driver you didn't see may have a chance to honk the horn or react. Give a reaction so you know what's going on. Okay. When you make a tight turn, okay, specifically, most cars don't know how slow you have to go to make a tight turn in a large vehicle. Give drivers behind some warning by braking early and slowly. Okay, tapping your brakes before you get to the corner. So they know, they see the brake lights and they know you're slowing down. Do not direct the traffic on the right hand side. Do not direct the traffic. Okay, it says right here, some drivers try to help others by signaling when it's safe to pass. Don't do that, because if they get into an accident, you're gonna be liable for that. Okay, communicate your presence when passing. Whenever you're about to pass a vehicle, pedestrian or bicycle, assume that they don't see you. Always expect an action from these pedestrians. Okay, even if they do, you always drive like they don't see you approaching. When it's hard to see, down, dusk, or in rain, fog, or snow, always make yourself visible. It's easier to see. How? Turn your lights on. I always say now, most of the drivers, they get too lazy because they rely on the automatic lights on. It only takes 1 second to reach the dash and turn the lights on, right, or off. If it's getting dark, make yourself visible, turn the headlights on. Turn your headlights on. Okay. If you have to pull over on the side of the road, when parked on the side of the road, if you must stop on the road or the shoulder, you must put out the emergency equipment. Which one is the emergency equipment again? The triangles, okay? You must put out the warning devices within 10 minutes, not 5 minutes, within 10 minutes, okay? Where do you put the triangles? I don't like to read this. Instead, I like to look at the pictures right here, the figures right here. Okay? If you are on a one-way street, one direction, or by the highway on the left-hand side, right here, you're gonna put out the triangles all in the back, 10 feet, 100 feet, and 200 feet. If you are on a two-way traffic direction, you're gonna move the last triangle, you're gonna move it to the front, 100 feet. Or if you're on a hill or on a curb on a obstructed view, you can move the last triangle up to 500 feet to let other drivers know. What's up, Pina 209? ¿Cómo andamos? Saludazos. Felicidades. Yeah. Okay. Entonces, so that's what you look for. I mean, your position in your triangles. Stopping distance, controlling your speed. How much distance you need to stop, and what are the three steps that it takes. Perception is the first one. Perception is the time, is the distance your vehicle travels from the time your eyes see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. You have the perception, and then you have the reaction. The reaction is when you move your vehicle. When you physically react, you move your foot from the gas to the brake pedal. And then we have the braking. The braking action, which this is the distance your vehicle travels while you're braking, you're stepping on the brake, okay? Altogether is the stopping distance, the perception, reaction, and braking distance. And it says right here, at 55 miles an hour, your vehicle will travel at a minimum of 419 feet, more than 300 feet. Álvaro, saludos. Okay, at 55 miles an hour, it takes about 419 feet in length. So that's the space you need in front of your vehicle. But remember, you have the brake lag. The brake lag is the delay that it takes from the time you step on the brake until it actually makes the final action. It adds about 32 feet. So at the end, it's going to be over 450 feet. Over 450 feet. Okay, and again, the effective speed and stopping distance obviously makes sense. I mean, it should make sense. The faster you go, the greater is going to be on the impact, right? If you double from 20 to 40, the impact is going to be 4 times greater, and so on. Does it make sense? Okay, on the right hand side, matching the speed to the road. Match the speed to the road. So you cannot still brake a vehicle unless you have traction. Traction is friction between the tires and the road. On the slippery surfaces, make sure because it's gonna take longer. Okay. Reduce your speed. Reduce your speed 1/3. If it's raining or something like that, wet or slippery, reduce your speed about 1/3. For example, from 55 to 35. Reduce your speed. Okay. Identify the slippery surfaces on the left-hand side. Identify the slippery surfaces, the shaded areas. Which areas can get um, wet or slippery faster? The shaded areas. Okay, the bridges they will freeze first than anything else. Melting ice, the black ice that you cannot see it. Okay. Also, after the rain begins, it rained. When did it rain? A couple days ago. It rained, so I think this is one of the first rains, really good. So the roads get really slippery because all the oils and grease is getting washed away. So that's when it becomes also really dangerous to drive. So slow down. Hydroplaning. What is hydroplaning it? Have you felt it? There you go. Hydroplaning is when you lose contact from the tires to the ground. And that's because you're going too fast or the tires are low in pressure. Okay. You may not be able to still brake. You can regain control by releasing the accelerator and pushing in the clutch. If you have a manual vehicle again, this will slow your vehicle and let the wheels turn freely. Okay. ¿Todo bien? Ahora sí. Ya le tomaron la foto, pero faltó la entrevista. Faltó el video. Faltó el video. ¿No le llegó? Déjame checar el sistema porque hay muchos que están mandando mucha información y no le llegan. Muchos textos que están mandando a la gente no le llega. Pero déjeme, si no se lo mando por correo electrónico. Ok, gracias, felicidades. Congratulations. He's got his license yesterday. Yep, got his license yesterday. Okay, so hydroplanning. Remember, if you're hydroplanning or skidding, don't use the brakes. Then push the clutch in there. Don't make it worse. And push the clutch in if you need to regain control again if you have a manual vehicle. Okay, speed and distance ahead. You should always be able to stop within the distance you can see ahead, especially nighttime or in fog, rain, or other conditions. Nighttime, you can only see roughly about 250 feet. So make sure you slow down so you can stop within the distance you see ahead. Okay, speed and traffic flow. Obviously, it says when you're driving in heavy traffic, the safest speed is the speed of other vehicles. Vehicles going the same direction at the same speed are not likely to run into one another. Most important, keep your safe following distance, which is what's the safe following distance, Ed? According to the information we saw yesterday, how much space you need in front of your vehicle? You forgot already? Fernando, ¿cuánto espacio ocupamos enfrente del vehículo cuando andamos manejando?
10 10 segundos, 10 seconds?
No,
No, no.
you're close, but that's not the answer. Aquí en el TikTok, how much space do we need in front of the vehicle? Seven, eight, Stephanie says 7, 8. It's 1 second for every 10 feet of your vehicle.
1 second.
Segundo por cada 10 pies
10 pies, yeah.
de tu vehículo. Does it make sense?
Mhm.
1 second for every 10 feet of your vehicle's length. If you
1
1
second,
for
1
every 10
second,
feet,
every 10 seconds. 1 second for every 10 seconds. Okay.
for every 10 feet.
Every 10 feet.
So, si el vehículo mide 40 pies, ocupas 4 segundos porque son
4.
40 pies.
Yeah.
Yendo abajo de 40 millas, going below 40 miles an hour, you're driving a 40 feet vehicle, you need 4 seconds because you're going under 40 miles an hour. If you go over 40, you add 1 more second, it's going to be 5 instead of 4. Okay? We saw that yesterday in the combination. Okay? All right. That's okay. All right. So next one is going to be the speed of downgrades. How do you know how to select the right speed when you're going down the hill? You need to know the total weight of your vehicle and cargo, the length of the grade, how long is the grade? Is it only 300 feet or 3 miles or 30 miles? You know, do you know any really bad downgrade in the Stockton area? Downhill? Over here in Stockton? The Altamont. Okay, you're going too far. No, but I'm asking over here in Stockton. No, because you don't see it in your car until you drive a semi. Try to take Wilson Way exit and come in this way. The ramp is only about 300 feet, but those 300 feet can turn into 3 miles at the Altamont. Those 3 miles can be 40 miles coming back from Reno, or 20 miles at the Grapevine. Okay, that's why you need to know. It all depends. How long is the grade? What is the steepness of the grade? What's the road condition? Is it rainy, snow, or the weather condition? Have you seen this number, percentage numbers? You see 4%, 5%, 8%, anywhere. Sometimes when you go, I don't think it has at the Altamont, but when you go to San Jose on 680, just before right on top of the Mission Hill, before you go downhill, there is a sign that says 8%. Have you seen that? You know what that? You know what it means? Okay. When you see a percentage number, let me see a sign. I think I have a sign on here. I'll show you guys. And let me
This
know if
time.
someone can recognize this one. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
26%. Oh,
What does that mean? It means that every 100 foot you drive, it drops 26 feet. Every 100 foot. Now let me ask you this: how many feet do you have in a mile? Does
in a mile.
anybody know how many feet do you have in a mile?
Million question.
You guys, you guys can use Google, okay? I'll let you use Google.
Million question.
Anyone on TikTok knows how many feet do you have in a mile?
Mile.
Ed says 1,600.
600.
Dijo que 1,600 pies. Okay, I got the answer over here. Tony B said is 5,280 feet.
Oh, pues ahí está.
5,280 feet. Now drop 26%, which is 1/4 of the total amount. You're gonna be dropping at least 1,300 feet at 26%. So it's gonna drop from, I mean, that's too much steepness, right? That's why you need to know the steepness of the grade, the length of the grade, how much weight do you have in your vehicle? Okay, 1,320, yeah. That's roughly about 1,300, that's what I said.
So sorry, you say 500, 500, 300?
So in 1 mile, you're gonna drop with this sign in the screen, 26%. In 1 mile, you're going to drop 1,320 feet in 1
103,000.
mile. It's like going in 1 mile, you're gonna go from the Altamont all the way down to the valley. You know, the Altamont is only 1,000 feet elevation, right? Okay. So he's gonna drop from the Altamont all the way to the valley in 1 mile. And I went through this road with a set of doubles. That's why I took this picture. Because it was no traffic, so I was able to take a picture. Okay. It's a long time ago. I'm never going back through the road with a semi. Okay? Never. Okay. Ah, that's a good question. Anybody can think which road is this one? Have anybody in the TikTok, any truck driver, have you seen this sign? This is on the Sonora Pass. Coming from Nevada to California. Which one is Sonora Pass? Which road is it? 108. Coming to California. No, that's Highway 50. No, it's over here by Sonora. Point Sonora. It's, yeah, well, it's coming from Nevada to California. Yeah. I wanna go in a tour with my family, but in my personal car. But I don't know, man, that's too much. Okay, all right. So let's see. Let's continue. Let's move on. That's why you need to know the total weight of your vehicle and cargo, length of the grade, steepness of the grade, road condition, and weather. Okay, that's when you need to use the braking effect of the engine. The braking effect of the engine. It says right here, the braking effect of the engine is greatest when it is near the governing RPM and the transmission is in the lower gears. When there be turn the engine brake and it should activate better. Because if you're in a high gear, I mean, it's gonna take longer to get better response. That's why. That's why you pull over on top of the hill at the brake check area and do your brake check to make sure your brakes are good, brake adjustment, and check everything so you don't have to use. And also, it's time to select the right gear before you go down the hill because once you go down the hill, there is no way you can shift. There is no way you shouldn't shift. It all depends on your weight. It all depends on your weight. A normal rule, says that, I mean, a regular rule says with the newer vehicles, if you went up on the same hill, on the same mount, you use, let's say, 6 gear. So to go down the same hill is going to be 1 gear lower. I mean, but that's assuming that you have the same weight. But if you're heavier, I mean, you may want to go lower. Okay, so it's a lot of things. This is called experience. So just be safe. Just drive slow at the beginning, okay? Roadway work zones. Observe the posted speed limit at all times when approaching the driving through a work zone. Gracias por compartirnos, Vanessa. And not coasting, yeah, not coasting. That means never use the clutch. Never use the clutch going down the hill. Remember what happens when you step on the clutch? You disconnect the gear, the power, and then you let it fly, and then you become a danger. Okay. Okay. Observe the posted speed limits at all times when approaching and driving through a work zone. Watch the speedometer. Okay. Okay. No creo que vamos a acabar. I don't think we're gonna finish. Actually, yeah, we can be done by 1. If we read, because we are on page 218. Yeah, we have time. Ya me lo termino. El que se quiera quedar aquí, muchas gracias por acompañarnos. Gracias por los likes. Thank you for sharing. Okay, we're about 40 minutes away, okay, to finish this section. Okay, how much space do you need? Space. How much space? Here we go again. How much space should you keep in front of you? One good rule says 1 second for each 10 feet of the vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles an hour. Going over 40 miles an hour is going to add 1 more second. For example, right here, we have a 40-foot truck. Under 40 miles an hour is 4 seconds. A 50-foot truck above 40 miles is going to be 6 seconds. It'll be 6 seconds. That's why you need to increase your following distance. To open, what is increasing the following distance? That means you open up room in front of you to help you avoid having to make sudden speed or direction changes. It's also easier for tailgater to get around your vehicle. Tailgater, don't tap your brakes. Don't try to use the brakes to control the truck behind. Just slow down, and then they're gonna get bored. Oh, this guy's going too slow. Let's go around the vehicle, and they're gonna go around your vehicle, okay, and leave you alone. Okay. It's gonna be one question. Why do you want to keep your vehicle centered in your lane? Why do you want to keep your vehicle centered in your lane? The answer is because the vehicle is wider. Your vehicle is wider. Your commercial vehicle is wider. Yes, often commercial vehicles are wider, okay? That's why you want to make sure it's in the center. That's why you're checking your mirrors. You don't run over the lines on the sides. Okay, strong winds. When do they affect the most? Strong winds make it difficult to stay in your lane. The problem is usually worse for lighter vehicles. This problem can be especially bad coming out of tunnels. Do not drive alongside others if you can avoid it. I always say, why do the strong winds affect you the most when getting out of tunnels? It's like being home watching the TV with a good coffee and something, watching a movie, and outside it's raining, it's windy, but you don't feel it because you're inside, right? Suddenly you have to go outside and you open up the door. You can feel the air trying to push. Oh, I didn't think it was so strong. Okay, that's why the same reaction when you get out of tunnels. So that's why that's the answer. Strong winds affect you the most when you get out of the tunnels. That's in a tunnel. Excellent. Space overhead. Hitting overhead objects is a danger. Make sure you always have overhead clearance. Okay, what's the maximum height you can be? Loaded? What's the maximum height? We read that this morning. 14 feet. Good job. Good job to Ed. He remembered. All right. Héctor, saludazos. Now, what is the standard height of the trailer? Fernando, ayúdanos. What is the standard height of the trailers?
Mm.
The maximum is 14 feet. You can be legally with a load. Now, what is the standard height? 13.6. 13.6. So this is your homework from today. Starting today. Once you leave the yard, the class today, you're gonna start reading all the signs when you go under the bridges. Look at the clearance. Anything below 16 feet needs to have a sign. 14.10, 14.11, 15.1, 15.3. Anything below 16 needs to have a sign of the clearance. That's your homework today, starting today. Every day, read the signs everywhere you go. You should always have a sign at least 1 mile highway, at least 1/4 mile before in city driving, just in case you don't fit under the underpass, you have the option to go around and find another route. This is about trucking. Only truck drivers pay attention to this sign because you're gonna be driving, you're gonna be going from California to Texas, from Texas to Florida, Florida to New York. In these places, you have never been there before. The only way to know that you're in the right location or route or road or street, looking at your signs. Is this a truck route? Before you get off the freeway, before you take the exit, is there a sign that prohibits trucks? Read the signs so you know where you're at. This is trucking versus Class C drivers. They don't care about the speed. They don't care about the height, the clearance. That's why they get pulled over by the cops because they're going too fast, even in town, right? Because they don't watch the signs. That's the difference. Okay, on the right-hand side, we have the space below. Obviously, anything lower is going to be dragging, especially especially this is often a problem. This is right here on unpaved yards or dirt roads or any drainage channels across when it rains. So any vehicle that is slow it has the risk to get stuck on such the depressions. Okay. Also at the railroad crossing, if the railroad is elevated, remember we read that last time. If it's elevated, you have a long trailer, you have a heavy equipment trailer or any other trailer that is really low, so it's a danger. You have the risk of running or getting stuck. Okay, space for turns, especially right turns. If you're driving a truck or bus that cannot make the right turn without swinging into another lane, turn wide as you complete the turn, not before. Going left, on the left turn, make sure you reach the center of the intersection before you start the left turn. What is the indication when you're driving Ed? What is the indication of the center of the intersection? When you're driving in town, what is the indication of the center? Yeah, and the center of the intersection. The yellow lines that divide the traffic. When you're driving, right here. The first one on top is when you go right, never swing out to your left. So the upper one, don't do this motion right here. Okay, and the first one, always do the second one. Always protect the side, the turning side. You can go into the other lanes, make sure it's clear though. Okay, but never swing out before you start turning, because if you swing over, the traffic behind may think that you change your mind and you change direction. Then they're gonna get in between your truck and the sidewalk, and then an accident can happen right there. When you go left, right here, always make sure you turn going left. You start going left until you reach the center after you cross the yellow lines. Okay, and there is another one right here, right in between the two right here. If there are two turning lanes, this can be going left or right. Always take the right turn lane. Always take to the right.
Always
Right.
on the right. Okay.
Yendo a la izquierda o a la derecha, si hay dos carriles que dan vueltas, siempre utilicen el de la derecha, como el que está aquí en la figura.
Sí, he visto siempre a los camiones que sí,
Okay.
sí. Yeah.
Sometimes you will see trucks staying on the left lane. That's really risky.
Yeah.
Saludos, felicidades. Ahora sí, bien relajado, ¿verdad? Ya pasó su licencia, ya his license. Se acabó
El estrés.
the stress. Okay. Also, before you start across the road, make sure you can get all the way across the intersection, all the traffic, right? Excelente, gracias, Mando. Felicidades, tremendo muchachón. ¿Verdad? Échale ganas, acuérdate lo que platicamos ayer. Remember what we talked yesterday. Life is motion. If you feel pain, you feel this and that, here and there, that means you're moving forward. What's up, Jimmy? Jimmy Van Hall, he's a former student from the school a couple years ago, maybe more. Hey, Jimmy. Okay, saludazos, Jimmy. Greetings. Okay, all right. So, next page, 222. Work zones. When people are working on the road, it is a hazard. There may be narrow lanes, short turns, or uneven surfaces. Be careful. Make sure if you need to use the forward flashes, use the forward flashes, okay, or the brake lights, little to warn other drivers behind. Pay attention to the drop offs. Okay, sometimes the pavement drops off sharply near the edge of the road. I used to do a harvest season, the grapes, double trailer, the tanker, the open container. So the grape, it turns into liquid, obviously, so it's moving. Okay, when you get into this situation on the drop offs, you go sideways. I usually like to drive nighttime because I couldn't see when the grape falls from the trailer. But daytime, when you look in the mirror, it looks really, really dangerous. But at nighttime I couldn't see it, so I didn't care, you know. Mhm. Okay, así es. Okay, tremendo. Okay, so let's go. Let's keep moving on. Okay, next page. Let's go to the next page, maybe 220. Okay, slow drivers, 223. Slow drivers, motorists who fail to maintain normal speed are hazardous. Okay, seeing slow-moving vehicles, how do you know? All the vehicles that carry farm machinery, construction equipment, tractors, especially the ag farmers in the area, they carry a lot of this equipment. Any vehicle that has a triangle with an orange in the center, these vehicles can go no more than 25 miles an hour. Any vehicle that has a triangle with an orange center. Even if you hold this type of equipment, make sure you cover the orange sign if you have it on the trailer. Otherwise, you can get pulled over because you're moving faster than 25. Okay, even if you're towing the vehicle or something. So make sure you know the rules, the basic rules. That's a slow moving vehicle. Okay, let's go. I think to 28. All the way to that's where we're almost done. There you go. 228. Page 228 in the screen. Driving at night. Night is more dangerous, obviously. You are at greater risk when you drive at night. Drivers cannot see hazards as quickly as in daylight, so they have less time to respond or to react. Okay. Okay. At nighttime, also fatigue and lack of alertness is the main situation. Ed, do you want to read the highlight report? Can you see it? Can you see it? Right there. There you go. That's why it's so dangerous, right? Okay. 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 That's why it's dangerous. Okay. Fatigue and lack of alertness. Who says the only cure to the fatigue of alertness? I mean, if you fall asleep, pull over at a truck stop or safe area and rest and sleep. Okay. Let's go to the next page. 230. Okay. Roadway factors. Roadway factors. Things that we cannot control when driving. Drunk drivers. Things that we cannot control. Drunk drivers. Unfortunately, people under the influence of alcohol and drugs. I mean, they could cause an accident. That's why you always check your traffic, even if the light is green. Check your traffic left. Check your traffic right. You never know who's gonna run over a red light. Vehicle factors. Things you can control. Headlights. Make sure the headlights are in good condition so you can see clearly at night. With low beams, you can see roughly about 250 feet. So remember, adjust your speed so you can stop within the distance you can see ahead. Dim your lights within 350 up to 500 feet if you're following or approaching a vehicle from on the front, on the oncoming traffic. Dim your lights, okay? Next page. Nighttime driving procedure 220, 231. Night driving procedure. Avoid blinding others. The glare from your headlights can cause problems for drivers coming towards you. Remember, dim your lights within 500 feet if you're following or approaching from the front. Okay. If you get sleepy, right here said stop at the nearest safe place. The only safe cure is to sleep. Sometimes you rest 15, 20 minutes. It feels like you slept 3 hours. Okay, so take your time, be safe. You got it? All the way down to the bottom. Next page, 232. 232. When driving in fog. It says right here, the best advice, obviously, the best advice, if you can avoid it, don't drive when driving in fog, okay? So it all depends on the company. Last time I had a driver, he called me, hey, what should I look for in this company? Ask them if you have to change, you have to stop this situation because the winter is coming, so stay safe. Okay, but if you have to drive through the fog, make sure you obey all fog-related warning signs, slow down, use the low beam headlights. The low beam headlights. Driving in the cold weather, in winter, tires is the most important thing we're going to be looking for. Make sure they have enough tread on your tires so they can push the vehicle through the snow or wet pavement. What's the minimum tread again?
232.
Front tires. What's the front tires?
Oh, 432 each. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, you have it on the screen. I have it on the screen.
432.
132 and 232. These are minimums.
Yeah.
Some companies require double than these minimums, okay? Good job. Okay, next page, 233. We're almost done. Radiator, shutters, and winter front. Okay, remove ice from the radiator shutters. Make sure the winter front is not closed too tightly. If the shutters freeze shut or the winter front is closed too much, the engine may overheat and stop working. Okay, driving on slippery surfaces. Start gently and slowly. Check for ice. Adjust the turning and braking to conditions. I always say right here, it's like, do you know when you mop the floor, it's wet, right? I always say it's like trying to walk on a floor that you use mop with a high heel shoes. Okay, so take it slow. Okay, adjust the speed, adjust the speed to conditions, and adjust the space to conditions. Do not drive alongside vehicles, other vehicles. Wet brakes. Wet brakes. When driving in heavy rain or deep standing water, your brakes will get wet. Water in the brakes can cause the brake to be weak, apply unevenly, or grab. This can cause lack of braking power, wheel lockups, pulling to one side or the other, and jackknife if you pull the trailer. So one of the things that you can do, is when you go through water, slightly step on the brake to close the gap on the brake pad and the brake drum to prevent any dirt getting inside the brake pads. Okay. Okay, driving in hot weather again, just like in cold weather, the most important thing is the tires. In hot weather, usually the air pressure increases with the temperature, right? So make sure that's why you make sure before you leave the yard, the tire mount is in good condition, the tire pressure is in good condition. So even if it overheats or expands the air pressure, never release the pressure on the tires. Otherwise, when it cools off, it's going to be low in pressure. Okay, so make sure the mounting is in good condition before you leave the yard. And check the tires every 2 hours or 100 miles. The engine oil, make sure the engine oil is at the right amount of oil to keep the engine, to help the engine stay cool, okay, and lubricated. Okay, some vehicles have side glasses. This is usually in older vehicles. Side glasses, they see through coolant overflow containers or coolant recovery containers. This permit you to check the coolant level with the engine when the engine is hot. The older vehicles, you probably remember this, Ed. I don't know about the other drivers, but the drivers your age, you remember probably, or maybe not. This is in heavy vehicles. The containers. Let's say this is the container. They used to have a little side glass popping out. Okay, so now in the newer vehicles we can see the level because they are all plastic, clear, and you can see the level. But before they used to have a side glass popping out, so every time we look at it, we were looking at things. If it was green, that was the indication that it had fluid, so it's good. If it was clear, it needs fluid in there. Okay, that's for the older vehicles anyway. I said the newer ones, they have, now you can see through the containers. Okay, engine belts in hot weather. Engine belts. Learn how to check the big belt tightness on your vehicle by pressing on the belts. Loose belts will not turn the water pump or the fan properly. It's going to be one question about the belt. Which one is not, what is not true? The answer is the belt can crack, but it's not a safety trick. It is a safety trick, but the question is about what is not true. Okay. All right. Driving in the heat. Watch for bleeding tar. Do you know what the bleeding tar is? No? Tar in the road pavement frequently rises to the surface in very hot weather. So it's usually when they fix the road, the black portion that go in. So I mean it can rise up to that and it makes the road really slippery. Okay, let's go next page to 35. Railroad crossing. We have two types of railroad crossing. Okay. Passive crossing is the one that has no traffic control. Active crossing, active crossing is the one that has the traffic device, like in the city. Okay, the traffic device. What's up, Dave? Dave Diaz. He's also one of the students that he got his license a few months ago. ¿Cómo estás, Dave? ¿Cómo te va? Excelente. Saludazo. Thank you for being here with us. Okay. All right. Okay, next page. 236. Stopping safely at railroad highway crossing. A full stop is required at grade crossing whenever the nature of the cargo makes a stop mandatory under state or federal regulations. Such a stop is otherwise required by law. Can you think of any vehicle that it needs to stop at the railroad crossing at all times? Passenger vehicle, any other vehicle, any other type of vehicle. Can you think of? Hazmat vehicles, they have to stop. Those two vehicles, they have to stop, okay? Because it's mandatory. Passenger and hazmat, okay? How long does it take to go across a railroad crossing? It says right here, it takes a typical tractor trailer unit at least 14 seconds or more than 15 seconds to go over a double truck. Okay, so that's why you check for traffic before you start going across. Next page, mountain driving. Mountain driving, again, we already watched this, how to select the right speed, the right gear, okay? You gotta be able to know how much weight you have, what's the length of the grade, the stiffness of the grade, and road conditions and weather conditions, okay? Also, how to select the right gear before you go down the hill. We already mentioned that. That's why you stop and pull over, do your brake check at the brake check area, and take it slow. Okay. You will not be able to shift into lower gear. You may not even be able to get back into any gear, and all engine braking effect will be lost. Forcing an automatic transmission into lower gear at high speed could damage. I would say, it not could damage, it will damage the transmission. It's just like manual. An automatic always downshift before you go down the hill. Brake fade. How do you know the brakes are fading? When you have to push the brake harder, okay? Brakes are designed so brake shoes or pads rub against the brake drum or disc to slow the vehicle. Because every time you step on the brake, it creates heat. The friction between the metal, the brake pads, and the drum creates heat. If you hold the brakes for too long, it's gonna expand the metal, okay? And also make sure it's properly adjusted, because if it's not properly adjusted, it also can cause the brake fading or failure. Okay, next page, 238. We're almost done. Okay, proper braking technique. So when you go downhill, we said what's the main braking system? Ed? The engine brake, the retarder. So you're gonna when you go down the hill, you have the safe speed. You have the safe speed that you want to follow. Okay? This is the grapevine. This is the grapevine. Coming back, northbound. Okay? That's the sign right there. The runaway, you have one on the left, one on the right hand side. The speed limit is 35. The speed limit is 35. Either loaded or empty, you have to do 35. So you wanna do 30 miles an hour. So select the gear that's gonna keep you at 30 miles an hour. Proper braking technique means when you're reaching 35 miles an hour, you're gonna slow down to 30 miles an hour and then repeat the process as needed. How? You're gonna step number one, you're going to apply the brakes hard enough to feel a definite slowdown. When your speed has been reduced to approximately 5 miles an hour, release the brakes. But it says right here, very important. This application should last for about 3 seconds. So which means after the 3 seconds, that's when it starts overheating. Okay, that's why you see these guys smoking, catching fire on the tires. Okay, because they're using the brakes too much, too long, because they're going too fast, because they probably never stop at the brake check area and they never did the brake check and select the right gear. Okay, on the right hand side, driving emergencies, what to do in an accident. Okay, remember you can almost always turn to miss an obstacle more quickly than you can. If you're going on the freeway, there are vehicles in front of you, right? So maybe one or two trucks in front of you, and you see them changing lanes or doing the motion. So hey, something is on the road. Maybe a dead animal or a box is in there. Then by the time you see it, there is no time or space to come to a full stop. So you're gonna try to go around it. So it says right here, it's easier to go around to miss it than trying to come to stop. Okay. Okay, next page. But if you have, it says where to steer. Where to steer. If something is blocking your path, if you have been using the mirrors, you know which area is empty. If the shoulder is clear, going right is always going to be the best option. But if you are blocked on both sides, if you're blocked on both sides, a move to the right may be best. At least you will not force anyone into an opposing traffic lane and a possible head-on accident. Okay, so always move to the right. If you have to leave the road, okay, but then you need to go back. Let's say you take the shoulder, but then you realize that there is a small bridge coming up. You have no space. You have to go back onto the road. Hold the wheel tightly and turn sharply enough to get right back on the road. When both tires are on the paved road, counter steer immediately. So this is a difficult motion to do or to remember. When you get into these situations, you're gonna have no time to think. Okay, let me think. What does the book say? What to do in this situation? You're just going to react to the moment. It's like when I was watching this video about this officer. He's actually an officer, you know. He was doing a session about how to safely operate the guns. And then one time he showed a video about a guy that he got into his backyard midnight, so he didn't even think about what the rules said. He just got out with a bat. And but you don't know the other guy has a gun also. So yeah, well, I just forgot all the rules. I mean, I just reacted to my emotions, you know, or whatever is up. And same thing over here. When something happens, you're not gonna try to remember, hey, what does the book says to do here? So the best way to avoid this, don't get into this situation. Slow down, keep your following distance so you know what to do and have space and time to react. Okay. Okay, how to stop quickly and safely. Control braking, emergency braking. Braking one is control braking. Control braking means you step on the brakes but never lock up the wheels because you're controlling the pressure. Versus stop braking where you step on the brakes, you slam on the brakes until the wheels lock up, and then you release the brakes again. Repeat the process. Okay, usually if you have ABS, it will not let you lock up the wheels, so you have to use control brake. Unless all the axles have working ABS system, then you can step on the brake all the way down because all the axles are going to react the same way. Brake failure, okay, 39, 40, 40. Brake failure, loss of hydraulic pressure, hydraulic brakes. Remember the hydraulic brakes? How do you check the hydraulic brakes? I know you're hungry. I'm getting hungry too, okay? Who's done? We're almost done. I want to finish this. There you go. Good job. Okay. Okay. What happens if you lose pressure on hydraulic brakes? When the system will not build up, the brakes pedal will feel spongy. That's only hydraulic brakes. Or go to the floor. One good action you can use or do is pump the brakes. Sometimes it's going to generate some pressure. Okay. So we're almost done. And after this, we're going to take the test. Okay. Brake failure on downgrades. Going slow. Listen to this. Going slow enough and braking properly will almost always prevent brake failure on long downgrades. However, once the brakes have failed, you will have to look outside your vehicle for something to stop it, like the runaway ramps. Okay. Um, Tire failure. How to recognize a tire failure? Quickly knowing you have a tire failure. How? Listen to sounds, vibration, feel anything on the steering wheel of the vehicle. If you're looking at the mirrors, you know what's going on. How to respond? How to respond to a tire failure? Hold the steering wheel firmly. Stay off the brakes. Don't touch the brakes until it drops about 20 miles an hour. And then check the tires, obviously after you stop. Okay, next page is the ABS system. We already know how to check the ABS system, right? I'm gonna skip that one. We already know how to check the ABS system. Look on the dash or look at the light on the trailer. It says right here, one exception is there is only one exception to this procedure. If you drive a straight truck or combination with working ABS on all axles in an emergency stop, you can fully apply the brakes only if all the axles have working ABS system. Otherwise, you're gonna have some tires or axles lock up and some others trying to react to the ABS. Okay, skid control. Skid control. A skid happens whenever the tires lose their grip on the road. This is caused by usually driving too fast for the conditions. Drivers who adjust their driving to road conditions and do not over accelerate, do not have to over brake or oversteer from too much speed. Okay. Uh-oh. We got an invitation to go eat again. Right on, okay. Ya me invitaron a comer, ¿no? Pues voy a tener que ir, ¿verdad?
Otra vez.
Ya mi esposa me está invitando a comer, es que ya es hora, dice.
Ya es hora.
A ver, dice, ¿verdad? Sí, no, pues gracias, ¿verdad? Ahorita llegamos por allá. We're almost done anyway, okay. All right, so ya me lo terminamos, okay. Drive wheel skids. Ed, which one is the drive wheel? The drive wheels, on which axles are the drive wheels? You have the tracker right in front of you. Right in front of you, you have the truck. Which one is the drive? Which are the drives? We have the steering, drives, and trailer. The back of the cab. Okay. The steering is the front, drives in the back, and then the trailer. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the rear wheels, okay, it says right here, this okay, the drive wheels, what happens to the drive wheels skid? You can see the figure right here. If the front tires skid, they continue in a straight line. If the drive skid, they go to sideways. Same thing with the trailer. Okay. So how to correct it? How to correct if you have a drive wheel braking skid? Stop braking. Countersteer. Usually, when the vehicle is sliding to one direction, we turn the wheel the other direction. but remember, it's sliding, so it has a tendency to change direction. So you may find yourself, it says, understand, as a vehicle turns back and curves, it has a tendency to keep on turning. Unless you turn the steering wheel quickly the other way, you may find yourself skidding in the opposite direction. Again, don't get in that situation. Slow down, stay safe, keep your distance. So you're never trying to remember what to do. Okay? Front wheel skid. In a front wheel skid, the front wheel tends to go in a straight line regardless of how much you turn the steering wheel. Okay, next page. Accident procedure. We're almost done. Okay, 43. Okay. Accident procedure. What are you gonna do? Protect the area, notify authorities, care for the injured. It's gonna be one question about how to take care of the injured, collect the information, and report the accident just like any other situation. Okay. When taking care of the injured, it says right here, keep the injured person warm. The question is gonna be what not to do when taking care of the injured person. It's the opposite. Keep the person cool. What not to do. Okay. Got it? Okay, on the right hand side, about fires. About fires, okay? Truck fires can cause damage and injury. Learn the cause of fires and how to prevent them. Know what to do after accidents. After the tires, if the tire is underinflated, if you have a set of duals, they can be rubbing against each other and they can cause fire. Electrical system, fuel, it can spill. And the cargo, flammable cargo, if it is not properly sealed or it has a poor ventilation. Okay. Dale, Mateo, llégale. Te esperamos desde Texas. ¿Ya? Okay. Okay, so firefighting. Firefighting. Okay. Okay, firefighting. Knowing how to fight fires is important. Drivers who did not know what to do have made fires worse. Okay. Keep the fire from spreading before trying to put out the fire. Make sure that it does not spread any further. With an engine fire, don't open the hood. Don't open the hood. For a cargo fire, don't open the container. Most of the people, they have a tendency, oh, there's a fire inside, let's open the container to see what's going on. You're gonna feed it with the oxygen and make it worse. Okay? So let the firefighters take care of the situation so they should know what to do. Better than we do, right? If you carry the fire extinguisher, make sure you have the right type of fire extinguisher. The only fire you can control with water is the tire burning down, but you may need a lot of water. Okay. Next one, alcohol and drugs. Obviously, drinking alcohol and then driving is very dangerous and a serious problem. You know, it has different reactions in the human body. It affects the driving, obviously. Some laws and regulations that we have to follow. And then at the end, if you get caught, remember, you're going to have a lot of legal, financial, and safety risk situations. Remember, you get first DUI, you lose your license for 1 year. You get a second DUI. But now, even at one DUI, or a drug test, starting Monday, the 18th, November 18th, any person that hasn't completed their return to duty status or system is like a rehab program, they're going to lose their license. Starting Monday, the 18th, which is next week. And there are roughly 170,000 drivers losing their license starting Monday. So that means those 170,000 drivers, they're going to be new jobs for you guys. Okay, there you go. Okay, so it's the same action. A 12 ounce glass of 5% beer, even is the same like a 1.5 ounce shot of 80 proof liquid. Okay, so don't drink and drive. Okay, it affects the brain, obviously. How do you know? You see people straddling lanes, quick jerky starts, not signaling, and failure to use lights, running stop signs or red lights, and improper passing. And you can see this also in truck drivers, not only in regular cars. Okay, so stay safe out there. Can we take medication, over-the-counter medication? Can we take any medication when driving? It says right here. However, possessions and use of a drug given to a driver by the doctor is permitted if the doctor informs the driver that it will not affect the safe driving ability. But be careful, even when you get a cough or cold or something, take medication, try to take medication that is prescribed to yourself. You don't want to go back to the yard and then, hey, come to the office. What's going on? Hey, we have the random pool, you have to take a drug test. Okay, and then it comes positive, and then you cannot prove that it was your prescription, and then you're in trouble. Then you have to do the return to do the process. Okay, so stay safe. This is the last part. Okay, this is the last part. The hazardous materials rules, and thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for gracias por acompañarnos. I hope that we could explain this as much as I could. I tried to rush a little bit because this is a long section, the number 2, and then we're going to review the last portion, and then section number 3, which is about 3 pages also. Then after that, we're supposed to take a practice test, but I don't know if we're going to have time. Okay. Otherwise, I'll give you the practice link, and then you can take it. Okay. All right. The hazardous materials rules for all commercial drivers. All drivers should know something about hazmat. You must be able to recognize hazardous cargo and know whether or not you can haul it without having an H endorsement, which is the hazmat. The only person that doesn't need the endorsement is the one that used moving their own product on their own property. Okay. If you drive hazmat, what you need to carry the documents on the pouch of the driver's door, within clear view and reach while driving, or on the driver's seat when you leave the vehicle. Just in case it gets on fire, the firefighters come in and they know where to look for the information and know what to do. The rules require all drivers of placarded vehicles to learn how to safely load and transport hazardous products and to have a CDL with the H, which is the hazmat endorsement. Okay, that completes section number 2. Oh boy, thank you. I'm done. That's section number 2.
Hey, you say.
Ya me acabé como 5 botellas de agua.
Hey, you say it's gonna be long today, 3 hours, more than 3 hours.
Yeah, actually 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
Actually, espérame, todavía falta la sección número 3, ahorita la revisamos rapidito ahorita. So section number 3, this is the transporting cargo safely, and we're gonna do this real quick, okay? Okay, this one's gonna take less than 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, inspecting cargo. On the left hand side, inspecting your cargo, recognizing overloads and poorly balanced weight. Knowing your cargo is properly secure and does not obscure your view ahead or to the sides. And knowing your cargo does not restrict your access to emergency equipment. Inspecting your cargo. When to inspect the cargo? After starting, inspect the cargo and its security devices within the first 50 miles, and then recheck again. It says 3 hours, 150, but usually only 2 hours and 100 miles. Okay. Cargo weight and balance. These are definitions about the vehicle weight. The first 2 is the combination of the vehicle and the load, single vehicle and combination. And the last 2 definitions is basically the manufacturer's recommendations. Any axle, tire, suspension, or coupling devices, they need to be certified to be used in this specific vehicle, right? Usually, when we take the truck to the shop, we never ask ourselves, does the mechanic know which material to use? We hope that they know what to do, right? But make sure the axle is certified to the limit, weight, the tire, also the suspension and the coupling device. Okay, there is a bridge formula, legal weight limit. A bridge formula permits less maximum axle weight for axles that are closer together. There's one question from the beginning. What's the maximum weight on each axle legally? Single axle?
18. Single 18,000.
20,000.
20,000.
Highway speed 18. But when the axles are together?
For 30 no.
34.
44. Yeah.
34. Okay, that's the bridge. That's the bridge formula. Okay, to carry less weight. Okay, obviously, do not be top heavy. The height of the vehicle center of gravity is very important for safe handling. A high center of gravity, cargo piled up, or heavy cargo on top means you're more likely to tip over. We say it's like trying to carry this in an upright position. It's going to be more easy to move versus laying this down on the trailer. It's going to be more stable, right? Okay, securing cargo, blocking and bracing. How many tie downs do you need? At least one tie down for every 10 feet. It should like 1 second for every 10 feet of the vehicle's length. One tie down. Cargo should have at least one tie down for each 10 feet of cargo. Make sure you have enough tie downs to meet this need. Each state has different requirements also. If you're carrying single pallets, the first pallet, it doesn't matter how small the cargo is, it should have at least two tie downs because just in case you have to break, all the load is gonna move forward. So you're gonna make sure that the first load is secure and it's strong enough to contain the motion of the rest of the load. Okay. Covering cargo. There are two reasons we cover the cargo. Number one, to protect people from any spills. And number two, to protect the cargo from the weather. Seal and containerized loads. Have you seen this train station? They bring all the containers. We have two in Stockton, Santa Fe, and the Union Pacific. Okay. These trailers, these containers are already sealed, so you cannot see what's inside. But even though you cannot see what's inside, you are still responsible to make sure that it's not overweight. Okay. Okay, next page. Next page. The cargo needing special attention. Dry bulk. Dry bulk tanks require special care because they have a high center of gravity and the load can shift or go slow. Hanging meat. That was my first job, delivering meat to the Bay Area restaurants. I used to carry these pieces of pigs or or full piece, hanging from the roof of the trailer. That was not the bad part. The bad part was I had to carry it on my shoulder. Okay. Okay, so it's moving, it's swinging sideways, so make sure it's gonna be really dangerous when going around the turn. Livestock, they can move, they change the center of gravity. The oversized loads also make sure you recognize and find out if you need special permits or any other signs that you need to attach to the vehicle. In that, I think that covers section number 3. Okay. Well, it's already 1:10. Should we take the test? I don't care. He says, Ed, do you guys want to take the test? On TikTok, Fernando, ¿tomamos el test o no lo tomamos? Porque ya tengo hambre. It's gonna be just 25 questions. Dicen, ¿lo tomamos? Dice Matthew que sí. Matthew in Texas, he said yes. Lopez in Massachusetts say yes. Pero ya no miro. I see blurred already, I'm hungry. Okay, let's do it. It's only 25 questions. Okay. Okay. Vamos a ver, ¿a quién le ponemos el nombre aquí? Who connected to the live first? No me acuerdo quién se conectó. Lopez? No, the game is, if we get a wrong answer, Lopez is going to be a false. Yeah. Yeah. Ayer Fernando se salvó, ¿verdad?
Yo me salvé ayer.
Now let me get my phone. Okay, now you turn the light off this so I can see the screen. Thank you. Okay, vamos a ver. Tenemos 5 minutos para terminar. No se crea. We have 5 minutes to finish this. Okay, let's go. When driving in cold weather, your tire tread should. Good job, Ed. Okay. Número 2. Se están quedando los del TikTok, ¿eh? Están contestando muy tarde. Okay, number 2, take extra care to keep your vehicle centered in your lane because commercial vehicles
Okay.
Ed remembers the question again. Ed is beating on the TikTokers. Okay. No es cierto, está macho, ya contestaron ahí. Okay. Number 3, you're stopped, you want to start driving uphill. You should. Saludos, carnal, hasta Fresno. How do you take off without rolling back when you're stopping uphill? Lopez, Macho, ya contestaron. They answer now.
B.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, good job. Okay. Number 4, how do you correct a rear wheel braking skid when driving on ice or snow? If you're skidding, what's the first action you should do? There you go. Stop accelerating. Good job. You know, all these people in Texas are learning really good, even all the way across the country, all the way to Massachusetts. Okay. What 3 things add up to total stopping distance for your truck or bus? Diego, me dejaron morir con los likes, pues era, no llegamos ni a 10,000. ¿Qué es eso? Perception, reaction, and braking. Me dejaron morir con los likes. ¿Qué pasó ahora? Y ahora les di más tiempo. ¿Ah? ¿Qué es eso? Se hubiera dicho, ¿ah? La meta ahora es llegar a 50,000. Hoy apenas llevamos 10,000. ¿Qué es eso? Let's get okay. What will help keep the engine cool in hot weather? Make sure it has the right amount of oil. Good job. See, Ed is learning really good. 7, which of these statements is true about warning other drivers of a stopped vehicle? ¿Cuándo vamos en el número 7? But which option?
Number 8.
B. Uh-oh. Is move the rear triangle up to 500 feet if the vision is obstructed. Okay, the B says 5 minutes. Remember, it has to be done within 10 minutes. Okay. C says 5 minutes, but it's actually 10 minutes. Okay, 8. Which of this statement is not true about engine belts in hot weather? Remember, it's asking which one is not true, or which one is unsafe.
Okay.
There you go. If it's not true, that's unsafe or it's not in the book. Okay, good job. 9. Why is a broken exhaust system dangerous?
Number 8. Number C.
Okay, there you go. Poison fumes could enter the car or sleeper bird. 10. In your mirror, you see a car approaching from the rear. The next time you check your mirror, you don't see the car. You change the name, you should. Option. There you go. Good job. Wait until you're sure that no one is in the blind spot. 11. When do string winds affect you the most? Fernando, necesito que participe. Ed is taking all the answers. Number 12. Most serious skid result from?
Number C.
Yep. Driving too fast. Driving too fast for condition. Good job, Delgado. Lopez. What is stop braking? There you go. The wheels like up. Okay, good job. Number 14. Which of these statements is not true about backing a heavy vehicle? Which of these should not be done?
Number C, you should back and turn.
Which one you should not be done? It's asking what is not true. Está preguntando lo que-
It's not true. Oh,
There you go. But a lot of people, they think that is right because they see all drivers do that. Okay. Okay, Matthew, saludazos. Mañana no tenemos clase, pero hoy en la noche tenemos a las 8 de la noche, hora de California. Okay. How many missing or broken leaves in any leaf spring will cause a commercial vehicle to be placed out of service? There you go, 1/4 to the total amount or the minimum damage. Which of the following is not a characteristic of a front tire failure? Which of this is not a cause or result from a front tire problem?
Steering, twisting.
¿Cuál de estas no es causa por fallar una llanta de frente?
Number A, I think. No.
It's asking which one is not. Which one is not related to the front tire?
C.
There you go.
B.
Your steering means the trailer is moving, but the problem is in the front, so that's not part of the steering. Okay. 17. You are required to stop at the railroad crossing when? When do you need to stop?
Number A. Oh, number C.
When the cargo makes a stop mandatory, which cargo? Which cargo? Which type of vehicles? Or, there you go. Okay. Passenger or hazmat. 18. Which of these statements is true regarding drugs while driving? ¿Cuál de esto es cierto al manejar acerca de medicamentos?
Prescription.
¿Cuál?
Number A, driving ability. Number 8, A. Prescription journal.
19. Which of these statements is true about cargo types? Ya me lo terminamos. Ya nos faltan 5. We're almost done. 5 questions away. We just read this in section number 3, the last portion of the book.
Overload.
There you go. 20. What should you do when your vehicle hydroplanes? Yes, yes, sir. Release the accelerator. Okay, 21. Which of these is especially true about tires in hot weather? What do we look for in hot weather? Yep, if it's good mounting on the pressure before you drive, it should be good. Don't release any pressure. 22. Which of these statements is true about causes of vehicle fires?
B.
Nando got it right. For ventilation. It's not asking about prevention. It's asking what is the cause of fire. Okay. Pay attention to the question. When driving through a roadway, work zone, you should. Yes, they got it right. Watch for short payment drop-offs. Remember when I said when I go sideways, when I used to see the grape spilling from the tanks, it looks scary. So watch for the drop-offs. Side of the road. 24. Let me put both of them. Okay, 24. Merging onto a road is safest if you, common sense, what's going to be the safest way to get back onto the road? The last question. Which of this is not appropriate use of vehicle lights?
Is this not? C.
Yep. Don't try to stop someone stopping the lights, okay? Okay, let's see. Let's review this one. El López no se va, quiere ver el resultado, dijo, ¿verdad? Okay, let's view the accuracy. If we see any red, that means we got it wrong. If you see all green, so that means it's all good. Okay, I see all green, 11. Okay. Okay, I start 25. Good job, 100%. Good job. Congratulations. Okay. Bueno, pues muchas gracias. Thank you guys. So this is the last session, Ed. This is the last session. This completes the last section. Make sure you talk to my boy, give the right email so he can send you the study guides, questions and answers, and the practice link because a lot of people is not getting my texts. I don't know why, what's going on. Okay, but I mean, you got the text. I mean, Fernando got the text. That's why he connected to the class. But a lot of people is not getting my texts. Okay, but anyway, make sure from now it's time to study and time to go to DMV, get your DOT physical done, and it's time to go to take the DMV official test. Okay. Yes, yes, get your physical first. Okay. He said, can we also get a study guide? Oh, I don't know. Send me a text. Let me see. Then right now I can't think because I'm hungry right now. Okay. I'm starving. So yes, that's the phone number right there. Send me a text and let's talk about it and then we'll see. We can probably do that. Okay? All right, that's the phone number on the bottom right there. Okay. Right here. Give us a call, send us a text, and then we'll see. Thank you guys for joining us. Gracias por acompañarnos. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. We have a lot of good information. I'm gonna try to post these videos also on YouTube so we can share it and hopefully it can help someone else. Okay. Thank you guys. See you next time. Nos vemos en la tarde. Today is Thursday, it's jueves. So a las 8 de la noche, 8 p.m. Pacific time, we have a practice test review again via this channel. Thank you guys. See you later.
Okay, thank you.
Fernando, ahí estamos en contacto.
Sí, gracias. Gracias por todo.